The growing calls across the nation to defund the police.
To end policing as we know it.
Off the charts violence in New York City. 11 people shot in just 8 hours on Sunday.
This is about the police officers who every single day put on that uniform and they run towards danger when we run away from it.
Pastor Mike is not with us tonight, which means the assistant pastor is in charge. And I know nobody wants to go to church when the assistant pastor is preaching. I get it, but it's what you got tonight. We've done it before. It's not the first time, but I'm here with Andrea.
What's up?
And she's got a hell of a case for us tonight. Real hell of a case. I'm going to bring you in real close. There you go. Right there. That's good. Bring that microphone over with you. Grab you a brewski. Guys, this is Night Shift, and we're going to be going over the Delphi case. Andrea, our new true crime specialist, is going to be giving us all the deets on that. But for July 4th weekend coming up on the 1st, we have a special limited sticker pack release. On Friday, it's going to run for 1 week.
No punish me.
Or if anything goes, if everything sells out, because we did a bulk order like we did with the glasses. And when it's gone, it's gone. But we'll run it for a week if it's not gone by Monday. Now, we designed these stickers. They're all for you guys. They're all for the fans. I'm not going to share the stickers with you, but you're all going to love them. They're all the things. The Pride Mike. We've got the Punish Me. Which I don't think Punish Me comes in the sticker pack. What comes in the sticker pack is Skate Daddy Transy, Pride Mike, Pedo Joe's pizza. It's a pedophilia kind of joke there. And then a Failure to Stop sticker. Or you can get that sticker pack, or you can get a Punish Me combo, which is going to be the Punish Me t-shirt and the Punish Me sticker, which is the Punisher skull with a gag ball and zippers and all the amazing things that I'm into.
Does it come with a gag ball?
It should have.
Like an actual.
Like one of those stressing gag balls. The what? Yeah, like the little red balls that you squish.
I know.
Yeah. I've never actually played with a gag ball before, so I don't know what the consistency of the ball is. I'm sure you know. I don't know. I'm just guessing. Is that something you know?
I don't.
You don't?
I don't.
You look like the type that would.
I don't. Not opposed.
We don't kink shame. We don't kink shame.
Oh, we actually do.
Craigers making me feel special. I'm nervous tonight, Craigs. I'm not gonna lie to you, brother. We got the old manager, Craig Craigers, in the house, and anytime he's watching, right? Yeah, he's our main sponsor these days. The Punish Me t-shirt is gonna be amazing. Craigers, if you want the Punish Me shirt, just DM me, buddy, and don't buy it. I'm gonna send it to you. You've done enough for this. You've done enough for us, Sarah. That doesn't make me feel good that you already missed Pride Mike. You know. It's not like I'm under enough pressure right now. And I only found out an hour ago that Mike wasn't going to be here. But you know what? I left Mike hanging on a night shift, and it was a very awkward night shift. So I feel like I'm due for one. 4th of July weekend is going to be awesome. We've got a really big case for you guys on Friday. Man, Disruptors was amazing. The whole survivalist thing. If you haven't taught your kid to make a proper fire, you need to. Okay. Well, I think that's it for housekeeping. Let's get into some true crime. Let's get true crime. What kind of story do you have for us tonight?
So we had a lot of fun last week, even though it was a horrible story with Catherine from Australia. We could make a lot of jokes at its expense. This week's a lot more serious for sure. It's unsolved. It definitely involves the death of a couple of young girls. So can you hear me?
Oh, yeah. Just need to get that microphone right in your mouth like a gag ball.
Good practice. Appreciate it.
Okay. So this one's going to be more serious, you said?
Yeah, very much more serious. Again, it's unsolved. This happened in 2017. So it's lot of developments, a lot you can, if you have listened to any true crime at all, you've probably heard of this. It's endless amount of information about this. So no matter what podcast or streaming service or news, whatever, there's information about this everywhere. And we've just had some recent updates in the past couple of months, which we'll talk about, that are kind of interesting. So this starts back in 2017 in a little town called Delphi, Indiana. It's it's about 50 miles from Indianapolis. And it was on February 13th.
So it's pretty cold outside.
Yes, but in fact, it had been a very mild winter. And because of this, we're going to be talking about Abby Williams and Libby German. Okay. So they are best friends. They're 13. Abby is 13. Libby is 14. Because it had been such a mild winter and they had extra snow days built into their schedule, they actually had this day off. I believe it was a Monday, and they had it off.
And it's in February, so is that like MLK Day maybe?
No, it was because they had snow days built into their like prescribed.
Oh, but they weren't
calendar.
getting enough snow days.
Yeah, it was a mild winter. So they had the day free, and so they're pumped, and they're hanging out. They had a sleepover. They're excited about their day off from school. They hung out all the time. Another main character in this story is going to be Libby's older sister, Kelsey. We're going to hear from her a lot throughout the interviews and the process as this unfolds. So Abby spent the night at Libby's house, and I'll kind of touch on this. Definitely come back if you have questions about the family tree here. So Libby lives with her grandmother and grandfather. That's Becky and Michael. And then her dad also lives with them, and that's Derek. So if you hear Becky, Michael, that's grandparents of Libby. Derek is her dad. Her mom lives in Kentucky during this time. So Abby's at their house, at Libby's house. Again, Libby has the older sister, Kelsey. So we'll break that down some more, but that's kind of important. That's a lot of them are all involved in all of this.
So just saying, sounds like a neighborhood sleepover.
Yeah, I mean, they're just best friends.
Okay.
Yeah, they're hanging out. They got school off. They're excited. So we have on the 13th, is a Monday. They told Becky, Libby's grandmother, that they would help her with some work, because she said, hey guys, if you help me with some work, filing some papers, doing some things, I'll give you some spending money. And maybe later today we can go to the store and, and spend that when I get off work. And so they were pumped to do that. They helped her out. And then finally they wanted to go on a little hike or a nature trail. So there's a place called the Monon High Bridge there in Delphi. It's an abandoned railroad bridge.
Take Sarah to the Monon Bridge. Old Sarah Kelch. Take her to the Monon Bridge. And
so it's abandoned. It's actually owned by CSX. But it's been abandoned since I think 1987. And we'll show pictures, but it's pretty dilapidated. But a lot of teenagers, especially families, but definitely like teenagers, kind of hang out there. It's a way to get away from home, kind of walk around and feel a little bit independent there. So that's where they wanted to go that day. So they finally begged all the grandparents, the dad, whoever, for a ride. Finally, Kelsey, the older sister, said she was happy to take them. So she finally loads them in the car. She drops them off there right around, I believe it was like 1.
So in the afternoon.
Yeah, well, it's important because she had been on the phone. She had been on the phone with her boyfriend, and she dropped them off around 1:30, like 1:35. So a timestamp for that would be when she was on the phone with her boyfriend, because she remembers being on the phone with him while the girls exited the vehicle. So then Kelsey leaves. So after that, this is when everything kind of changes and probably changes pretty quickly based on timestamps that we have. So around 2:07, that's Abby on the left and that's Libby on the right. Thank you.
Okay.
So
cute kids.
Yeah. So Libby on the right is the one using her phone. So Abby has not gone to the trail as much. Libby goes with her older sister a lot, and she likes to go and photograph things. And she did have social media at that time. So she had Snapchat. I think she had a Facebook account. But Abby wasn't quite as familiar with the bridge. It's been said that Abby's a little bit more apprehensive about things. There's Abby on the bridge. So hang on to this picture here. This is timestamped at 2:07. This is pretty important. They didn't have a specific pickup time from Derek, from Libby's father, but basically it was kind of when he wrapped up. He was also helping his mother out, taking some photographs at her shop, doing some things for her. So he had said when he was done, he'd come pick them up, and he told them to kind of be ready, be around where he'd pick them up, somewhere around 3 or 3:30. So they got dropped off at 1:30-ish. This was at 2:07. And so they've got about an hour and a half to kind of play.
Now, who's picking them up?
Derek, Libby's father.
Derek, Libby's father. Okay.
So they have some time to kind of hang out and do their thing. But they were really only going to have a total of about 2 hours there, right?
Yep.
So you just saw Abby.
Which these kids are 13 and 14?
Yeah.
I mean, that's super reasonable. I mean, at 13 and 14, I was going to the movies for 2 or 3 hours.
I think
by
it's
myself.
reasonable. I think personally, I don't know. It's tough now. Like, I would.
The
rather
chances
the
of you getting
movies-
kidnapped
I know.
are like, you would be bit by like 3 sharks and struck by lightning twice before you get kidnapped. Like the odds are
Wrong, though.
so.
I disagree. I think that.
Look at the odds.
All right.
Like kids do not get kidnapped like all that often.
Not kidnapped anything though, right? Any egregious act toward a child. I'm much less scared of sharks and lightning than I am about human beings around my kids.
Okay. Really?
Absolutely.
You're more afraid of your kids getting kidnapped.
I'm more afraid of other human beings around my children than sharks or lightning. Absolutely.
Okay.
Any day of the week. We swim in the ocean.
Yeah.
We don't play. We're careful with lightning, but
I don't mess with lightning, but
I
mean, I don't have a problem. I was at the skate park with my kids the other day, yesterday, and there was a little girl, and she was 6, and
herself.
her dad had dropped her off,
So
but her dad was there. He was just down the road working at this other little thing, which is like
That's
maybe
not fair.
200 yards. No, but I mean, the odds are so few. I'm probably a bad parent, I guess.
It's not true, but you're always with your boys.
Yeah, but
You're
I give
not
them. So fewer than 350 people under the age of 21 have been abducted by strangers in the United States per year.
So that's one a day almost.
Yeah, but out of the
Enough.
whole United States.
That's enough. Doesn't matter.
Okay.
Look up death by lightning.
Death by lightning statistics? I will, but keep
Because
going.
I would much rather I'd rather my kid get struck by lightning and survive than get kidnapped.
Sure.
Correct?
But if only one person in the whole United States gets kidnapped per year, what do you think the odds are it's going to be your kid?
I don't know. I think that's.
Well, we tell a lot of these stories. It's just important to know. So, number of lightning deaths
all
between
in Florida?
2006 to 21. Looks like there was 15 in April, 43 in May, and 99 in June. In those months.
Deaths.
Yeah, but that's over a couple of years. There were 444 lightning deaths from 2006 to 2021.
Okay.
So there you go.
All right. Well, anyway.
So I guess you
agree
do have
that
more
it's
chance of
reasonable.
getting kidnapped.
I agree that it's reasonable that the girls are doing their thing, right? I don't think that that's bad.
Yeah, I mean, 2 hours at 13 and 14 years old.
Yeah.
That's super
And
reasonable.
keep in mind, this is known to be a place where kids do hang out and where families go to kind of hike and take walks. So it does seem pretty benign, right? Like,
Yep.
So I agree, it's not a bad thing at all. But all they knew that they had a couple hours and they were going to wait for Libby's dad to pick them up. So keep in mind, so Kelsey dropped them off. We're going to keep a timeline this time, guys. It's a lot different than last week's story, and
because there's a lot to this case.
there's
Like this
a lot
case
to
is
this case,
huge.
to the point where I could continue. We might even do a part 2, and because
Okay.
there's a lot. Not next week, but there's still current developments. So, yeah, there a ton of information. So at 2:07, we have the picture of Abby on the bridge, right? And we also now, I think you can pull up, Eric, there's a picture of just the bridge.
Okay. Boom.
And so Libby took this as well. And
That
put
is
this
ominous.
On her. Yeah.
That is a very ominous picture of this bridge.
Yeah.
Like they didn't have a nicer picture of the bridge.
Well, I think she did that on purpose. She was putting
Okay.
it on her snap, so I think she filtered it. It's black and white.
Oh, she
all the
took this
things.
picture.
So Libby took this. As well.
Wow.
So
Dude,
this
that's a
is-
really good. That's like a framer.
right. So this is timestamped
No
at
shit.
right at 2:07 as well. She took it like she took the
At
picture.
2:00 at 14:07.
Correct.
She took that picture on Snapchat.
Yep. So she took
Damn.
one of
Good for
She
her.
took the one of Abby, and then we have this one. They were back to back.
It doesn't look safe.
No.
I mean, if I were dropping my kids off, I'd be like, don't you dare go on that bridge.
So that's kind of the whole point is the walk on the bridge. So we're going to talk about
Okay.
that and actually the safety of it and the distance between some of the boards. It's definitely
I don't like it.
dilapidated.
I don't like it.
And
What's the
it's-
fall? How far up? I mean, it looks like it's at least
pretty-
15, 20 feet.
No, it's higher than that. We'll
Okay.
show it. But
All right.
and it's a one way, right? So when you get to the end of it, it's a wood line that ends. So you don't take that to continue on a trail to like loop around.
Okay, so you
there
go
and come
out,
back.
you got to come back. And what was this bridge for?
It had been an old CSX. It was a train bridge.
A train bridge.
But
Gotcha.
it's been out of
Wow.
commission since '87. CSX still
Wow.
owns it currently to this day.
Yeah, they own everything.
Correct.
Land wise.
So if you follow me on IG, this is the picture that I used kind of as the teaser. But this is
What's your
this is
Instagram
the
handle really
bridge.
fast?
Andrea up late.
Andrea Uplate. Okay.
Yeah. So this is this bridge. So if you've kind of followed this or known about this story at all, you will have seen this bridge and recognize it. So we have now a couple of timestamps. We've got Abby and we've got the picture of the bridge. And so then they go on. So this bridge is over something called Deer Creek. There's a lot of woods surrounding it. This is a very small town. Keep in mind, the town of Delphi, Indiana at the time was a population of around 3,000. So again, this is unsolved, right? It's been
All
5
right.
years. Teeny tiny town. Everybody kind of knows everybody. Or, there's a lot of 6 degrees of separation happening there. So finally, we have Libby's father calls them. The calls were never answered. He's calling to say, hey, guys, I think it was around 3:11 p.m.
So
He
she
called-
took this picture at 14:07. He
Correct.
calls it 3:11.
Yep, saying, hey, guys, get your stuff together. Kind of come get ready to meet me. I'm on my way. Never gets them. He gets there. His calls and texts have still not been reciprocated at all. She's not answered anything. He gets there and he gets out and kind of starts looking for him. This isn't crazy. She's been there a ton.
Mhm.
As he gets out, he passes a guy in a flannel shirt. And so this is important because he then is known as flannel shirt guy. So you will hear there's some acronyms. So you'll see like FSG, that's flannel shirt guy. If you go down the rabbit hole of Reddit or any of the other streams that kind of like follow these types of things.
I'm gonna bring up the picture of flannel
Yep.
guy. Not yet.
No,
Which one am I pulling
there's
up
not.
now?
We don't have a picture of this.
Jake Rodriguez dropped us $50. He says, thanks for keeping me entertained every night on duty, y'all. By the way, underpaid producers should be called underrated producer. Absolutely, he is underrated. And I wish he was here right now, but everybody's
you,
working on
Jake.
something else tonight. That's why I'm doing this. It's just me and you tonight.
It's just us.
They're doing
There's
some kind of big old
literally
jujitsu,
no
some
one else.
jujitsu video production class. No, a class. They're doing a jujitsu class. That's why it's just us. So which picture am I putting up now?
Not one.
Since
You're
I'm a
not putting a picture up.
pathetic producer.
Don't put a picture up.
All right.
Okay. Yes, Eric is also filling in as producer tonight. So you guys just
Bear with us.
be
All
gentle.
right. So the dad gets out of the car and he sees somebody.
So yeah, so he passes a guy in a flannel shirt, right? Flannel shirt guy.
Flannel shirt
So
guy.
he says, "Have you seen a couple of girls over here?" And guy says, "No, but there's a couple walking down there, like a man and woman. Like there's a couple walking back over
Interesting.
there." So dad's like, "Okay, he's not concerned." So he kind of walks on the bridge a little bit, sees nothing still. And then as he's coming back toward his car, he passes flannel shirt guy again on the way back. Nothing was said there. So then he spends a few minutes. Now he's starting to kind of call Kelsey, the oldest daughter. He's calling his mother. He's calling his sister, different people. Have you guys talked to them? Have they
Mhm.
reached out? I can't get them. I can't find them. Not super alarmed yet. So he got there around 3:20, 3:30 that afternoon. The next thing on our timeline is they alert the authorities at 5:30. So they spent a while looking for these girls. At some point, Kelsey comes in, someone else leaves work and they're like, what? And they kind of are starting to look and they don't want to be alarmed. They don't want to make it bigger than it is.
Yeah.
But So a couple hours have gone by and they're now pretty alarmed. So call in authorities. They come. They start to do a very initial, and so this is where people have different opinions on how this was handled. So there's a lot of things that I'm going to have to bounce off of you because I don't know in terms of law enforcement what would be proper and what's not.
Okay.
What's reasonable and what's not. So they kind of do a very small initial search party. And they kind of started to bring in some dogs, bring in some things, but then they call it off due to darkness. The parents are assuring the police that, these girls, look, they didn't run off, all the things.
February, so it gets dark probably about
That's
5.
what I was going to say.
And he started probably calling everybody around 3:11.
Well, keep in mind.
When does he call the police?
5:30.
At 5:30, so it's about dark.
When they get there, it's probably about to be dark in India.
Yeah, and the police are only going to be like, well, they've only been missing for the last 2 hours.
Right.
Which they could be at a boyfriend's house.
Correct.
It
I'm
could
sure
be,
that's where they were going with it, right? In
Yep.
their mindset.
Mhm.
But so they call it off but darkness was the reason they gave.
But they called it off for the whole night?
Yep. They don't reconvene until the next day.
How big is the town?
3,000, the population.
How many cops?
Small.
Yeah, I mean 3,000. You're probably only working with
It's
like
small.
6 or 7
It's small
cops. Maybe
unit.
not even 6 cops.
I think maybe 6.
6 cops. Yeah,
I
sounds
think
about right.
maybe. And you guys, whoever's
From Delphi.
been diving into this more than I've been diving into the story for a couple of years, but I don't know.
Well,
about
I mean,
that
so
piece.
here's the thing with a small department, right? And this is like everybody's following this Idaho boy that's missing, and then people are giving a lot of shit to
We're
law
gonna
enforcement.
talk
And
about
look,
that
I know I get
too.
accused for taking law enforcement's side. It's not that I'm taking law enforcement sides. I'm just educating you on how law enforcement works. I'm not saying that it's good or bad. I'm just telling you how shit works. Okay. If you've got 6 cops,
Right.
what are the chances that out of those 6 cops, you got one in Delphi, Indiana? Which one of those 6 is a search and rescue expert?
Exactly.
Okay. Which one of those guys is a dog handler?
They're having to
Maybe.
pull out outside resources, right? At this point.
They probably don't have any. Are you saying they do?
They eventually did, and I don't know if they
But
got
not
them
that night.
locally. No,
Like that
not
night, like, They're not. It's not like NYPD, right? Where you can just be like, "Yo, I need a dog," and they can have a dog in a second.
Yeah.
Let me get a hound. I can get a hound in a second. I mean, you're talking 6 dudes that keep the peace. These aren't like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, there wasn't a lot going on there.
Like they're peacekeepers. They're not really like proactive, and they're giving a lot of shit to these cops in the Idaho thing. But again, they're kind of working with the same thing. They're like, why wasn't there any dogs? They have 6 cops.
Yeah.
I don't know. Is how many dog handlers do they have in a department of 6? Well, why don't they have a search and rescue team out here? Again, who's the
not
search
using
and
it.
rescue team? Which one of the 6 guys is the
Well, and
search
how
and
often
rescue
do they
team?
need that, right? Like
They probably don't.
Not enough to pay for that.
And you're not going to
resource.
fund your police department to focus
Dang.
on that when your biggest problem is probably domestic violence.
Yeah.
I would guess, and it's not like that, but maybe not. Maybe they don't even have domestic violence in Delphi, Indiana. I don't know. 3,000 people. It's not a lot. I mean, you're probably not pulling a lot of calls.
Side note: we're going to talk about the farm boy.
Okay.
Soon. Not
All
right
right,
now.
not
but,
right
like,
now.
Just at another time.
So
Keep that in mind.
for all intents and purposes, you got 6 cops total at this department. You probably get 3 working that night. One's probably working the radio, which means you got 2 on the street. 2 people out in the middle of the forest
They call in
isn't really
extras.
going to
They
do
did call
much.
in extras, and they called in. I know
Okay.
all of their immediate family was there. I can't say how many there were there. It was not a huge, and it was not a proper search and rescue team, correct?
Right.
But there were people. There were
Yeah.
people involved and people who came out. They called it off due to darkness, though, right?
Mhm.
So then we're on.
Well, because we're working with, we don't want to lose anybody else. I mean, if you've got 2 people managing a search effort at
Mhm.
night in a massive forest, one, who's trampling over evidence? Where's the crime scene tape put up?
Right.
Who's fucking with what and who's going which way?
Yeah,
We
who's
don't have
ruining
comms.
everything,
We
right?
don't have radios. There's 6 people.
Yeah.
It's not like we have assets to be like, all right, you search team are going to go with Officer Tansy.
And we have grids.
And here's your
Right.
and here's your radio, and then
Yeah.
this group of 5 is going to go with officer, and we're going to radio check every hour, and here's our primary plan, our contingency plan, our alternate plan,
Right.
our emergency. Like they don't have that, so you can't just have 50 people going off into the woods
Right.
on their own. When 1, you could have a crime scene, 2, you could be fucking up evidence that leads to where these girls are, tracks,
absolutely. That
footprints.
That
I
makes
don't
sense.
have a problem with 6 guys being like, you know what, I'm not good
Let's
with
come back
this.
at
Let's
sunrise.
come
Yeah.
back at sunrise.
Agreed.
Not much we can do here except fuck this up.
That makes sense. I also, on the other side of it, understand or I can only even try to understand how the parents feel at this point, right? Or the family, because if they feel like they know these girls well enough to think like, no, they've not run off, they're not doing something, bad behavior type things. This is uncharacteristic of them. And so I can only imagine what that night looked like for them. So let's roll around into February 14th. It's the next day.
Okay. Sun comes up.
We've already had some searchers are out there at this point now. We've got I can't say a proper search party, but we think at this point we do.
Right,
have
you
some
talk
dogs.
friends, family.
Well, I think we got some dogs.
Okay.
We got some I think some water people. We got some extra resources at this point next day. Okay.
See, now for Raleigh, when somebody goes missing in Raleigh like this, and it's weird, we put a helicopter up that has thermal, and you just fly it. But obviously, Delphi, Indiana does not have a
thermal. Yeah,
a helicopter with thermals.
Yeah, no one's using thermals. So, a searcher that was part of the party does find the girls right at about 12:15 noon the next day.
Wait, they find the girls the next day?
They found the girls the very next day at noon, right around noon. Their bodies are
they're dead.
They are dead. Their bodies are under the bridge, about a half a mile, actually, I believe, east of the bridge. A
half a mile east of the bridge?
Half a mile east of the bridge.
But down.
Hang on, let me get if you guys, again.
You have to talk right into the front of that microphone.
If you guys look at my IG, you will know that, again, he makes fun of my
Yeah, you got to follow her Instagram. She just started it a week ago, but it's Andrea Up Late. And she is a grandmother. She has notes written on some kind of grandmother's notebook over here. It absolutely gives me so much anxiety to watch.
It's the only way I can work. There's so many of them. So the bodies, it was about a half a mile east of the bridge is where the bodies were found. So
so you're getting two girls down 30 feet.
We're going to talk about. That's what we're going to talk about.
And now you got to move them a half a mile east together.
Correct.
So you have a weapon.
You have a weapon because they have to comply, right?
Yeah.
You're not carrying them. So I'm going to touch on a couple of things. And
I don't know this story.
Okay. Well, I'm going to touch on a couple of things and then we're going to round back to and get in more detail on some of these things like this. For instance, the path from the bridge down to the ravine that they were found in. They were found on actually private property because some private property butts up against this part of the park. And when you're down there, it's been said there's not a lot of access for vehicles. You're not driving like where these girls were found. You're not driving there.
No.
Okay. So it's butting up to what's called Deer Creek, the body of water there, and then woods pretty much surrounding.
Right.
Okay. So it is a very steep ravine. So there was a lot of discourse at the beginning about how someone could get these two girls, they're sizable at this point. They're 13 and 14. Get them down there and whatever. So obviously I would agree with you. I would assume he's showing them a weapon to get them to comply. Like I would assume they are walking down with him.
Right. Now, is there a path to get down underneath the bridge?
Not.
So then they would have to probably fall on their butts a couple times.
It's just pretty steep and a lot of brush. Like you could probably walk it. People say you can walk it.
Right. But when you're scared, and you're terrified,
kidnapping.
When you're scared and terrified and you're not paying attention, you're going to slip. You're going to fall.
Correct. Well,
that's why you don't want people fucking around out there at night so that you can see where this path was.
Well, and what we've learned is if you actually don't go straight down where the girls, we're going to talk about this, but where we think they came off of the bridge, if you don't go straight down there, if you walk a little ways on the bridge, there's actually another one. They call it kind of more like a theater walkway. So picture going to the movie theater, like that gradual decline.
Right.
It's more like that. There's an area there. And so this goes more to the point of the people who are saying this has to be someone local who probably knew that path was a viable option. If you're not from there.
Now, unless he catches them on that path.
They weren't there. And let me tell you why. So I think you have a picture that just says bridge guy right there. So we have this.
Guilty.
So this is a picture that Libby also took. All right. So
Libby took this.
Why
did she take it?
So she took a picture of Abby.
At what time?
And then this is all in the same, all within. The police have not released when this picture was taken. So the police still know a lot of things that they've still not released to us. Like that's fine. It's ongoing, but we don't know the time that he was taken.
Okay.
So the police,
She just took a picture of him.
she took a picture of him. There's more though. So on the 15th, so we can come off of that. But on the 15th, we have a news conference. They finally confirmed the identification of the girls. And this is the first time they showed that picture that I just showed you. He's going to be later referred to and currently as BG Bridge Guy.
Okay.
Okay. So that's Bridge Guy. So we just get the picture. We get nothing else. So they went for the walk on the 13th. Their bodies were found on the 14th. On the 15th, we have the news conference. We get the picture of him. They've identified the bodies, right?
Oh, man.
So on the 19th, they finally named Bridge Guy as an official suspect.
Well, my question here is,
Okay.
why did they take a picture of him?
We're going to talk about that. So let me ask you this. What's the difference between a suspect and a person of interest? Is there one? Or is it just where you work, what they refer to it as?
I'm trying to think of like a suspect is somebody that you can detain. Person of interest,
Keep an eye on.
you're probably not detaining them at that time.
Okay.
You're probably like, that guy's a lot, but we don't have enough to like detain him. But he's a person of interest. Like,
Can you always detain a suspect?
yeah.
Okay.
I mean, you could probably try to detain a person of interest. I mean, it just kind of depends on, it depends on how many bricks you have in the wall is what we call it. But detaining somebody, you can always detain somebody if you've got reasonable suspicion.
Sure.
But you can't like go and take somebody with reasonable suspicion on into a detective station and hold them there.
So
You question them unless you can like articulate that this is a suspect.
as far as we know, they've never met this man on the bridge. Well, they think that they've probably met him. They've never found him. They've never known to meet him in person and know that's
Really?
the guy on the bridge.
So they don't know who Bridge Guy is.
No.
But they
no.
put this picture all over the fucking interwebs.
Well, there's plenty of.
Well, there you go.
Well, there's a handful of people.
Because Homeboy sees that and knows it's not him. He's clearing his
There's way
name.
more to this. So they called him. This is the first time they officially named him as a suspect. They don't
Okay.
have him in custody though. They don't have him identified as a person. As
Because they don't know him.
they
They
don't
can't
know
find him.
They cannot find him. Right.
Not
So
good.
So then see if you don't, it's fine. See, I think overpaid producer sent a link for it should just say it's gonna be, sorry you guys, we're doing this
Which one is it?
together.
Is it a video?
It's gonna be
Right here?
but it's gonna be, what does that say? What's that called?
Show? Nope.
We'll see.
Bum.
It's gonna be another one that looks like a still of him, but it's actually gonna be a little clip.
Oops. This looks like it's right here, right? Boop.
Yeah, maybe. So
Bup,
play
bup.
that.
All right, hold on. Nope. That is not it. Keep talking. I don't know. I'll figure it out.
So when they release this, it's about it's like a second and a half. It's the smallest amount of time, and it just, you can hear it. It's very it's garbled. It's not very clear, and you hear down the hill. You're hearing it with the rustling of them moving, different things. It's incredibly eerie. I mean, super, super damn creepy. I can't imagine her family hearing this and knowing. So he's saying down the hill. There's a reason why it's important that that's all we're hearing from that clip. Nope. Nope.
Okay.
No. He real quick, and then we can just keep on. He had shared it over here somewhere.
Oh, here it is right here. I apologize. Oh no,
So-
shit. He says guys.
So that's
Down the
different.
hill.
So that's fine that we played that.
What?
That one's different. The first one they hear, keep in mind, the first one that they hear does not say guys. Okay. So just pretend like you didn't even hear that part. It
All you hear is
literally
down the
all
hill.
you hear is down the hill.
Down the hill.
Down the hill.
Oh, there you
So-
go, dude. This is your guy.
So he's saying,
Come on, this is your guy.
Down the hill, right?
Wow.
So this was on February 22nd that the police released that snippet of that video that just says down the hill, and that's all the public gets. And they've said tips and things as you can imagine, right? Start just pouring in.
Yep.
So now we have not only almost a face,
Wow.
we have clothing, we have movement, right? Because you can see him moving. And then we have
Well, this is your killer right
we
here.
have that, right?
I mean, guys down the hill.
Mhm.
Like he says that, like, guys down the hill.
Hill.
Like, let's go. Like I'd be telling my kids, hey, down the hill, let's go. Wow, that's your killer.
It's awful. Yeah.
And they haven't found this guy?
No. So
How did she video it?
so story goes that she took the picture of Abby that we saw at 207 in the bridge, right? She's just out there being a teenage girl, like, I'm gonna put this on Snapchat, I'm gonna filter it, right? And then there was a picture of him. So we that we showed a minute ago. We have a picture, a still picture of him. She took the picture, and then at some point she switched it to video. And her family states, without knowing for sure, but knowing her and her personality, they think that she felt alarmed enough that maybe that would be the right thing to do, is to video. Nope.
So she wow.
So yeah. Right. So just to keep our timeline up, that's February 22nd that they've released this, okay?
Okay.
So now we're going to go on into March. So let's talk a little bit about Ron Logan. We have Ron Logan's picture there. It's labeled as such, I believe. Yep. So that's Ron. So Ron owns the property. It's his private property that the bodies were found on. All right. They were found about 1,400 feet from his home. When police initially talked to him, he's, I have no idea, guys. Like, I don't know. I don't know how they got there. I don't know who put them there. Like, my land just happens to butt up to this creek. Like, it's terrible, but I have no information for you.
Wow.
We're going to talk about Ron Logan a little bit more in detail later. But they did decide to try to investigate that a little bit. He has no history of aggression, violence, pedophilia, anything like that whatsoever. No. He does have a pretty extensive history of vehicular issues. So like a lot of
speeding, DUI. I mean, a small town like that, that's all those cops have going on anyway.
Things that have gotten him, in and out of jail for here and there, having to violate parole here and there for, it's all vehicular transgressions. Like nothing relating to humans whatsoever. We're going to talk about him a little bit later, but just keep in mind that he's where it's his property that they were found on. All right. So that was March 7th. Sorry.
Yeah, you got to keep that shit right in front of your mouth and they're not going to be able to hear you.
Yeah. That's what it is. So, so then in July, so that's March. We don't have a lot going on. It happened in February. March is when Ron Logan was really questioned. Then we're going to move on to July. So July of
6 months.
About 5 months later, we have the initial sketch. I think you have that is brought out.
Okay.
So this is what we see.
So that's supposed to be this guy right here. And how do they get that sketch?
So that's interesting. So there's a guy, Daniel Pierce, who we don't have the time tonight to deep dive into this guy. Long story short, Daniel Pierce is someone who was an initial witness. We know that he personally knew Libby, one of the girls on the bridge. P-E-A-R.
What is it?
P-E-A-R.
Okay.
And Daniel inserted himself pretty early on as a witness. To the point where if you follow these Reddit rabbit holes on crime and whatever, you're going to see Daniel's coming up. They call him DP. A lot of acronyms here. He's referred to a lot. A lot of people have for a lot of years thought that Daniel Pierce was in fact the murderer. We have had some more recent updates between February and May of this year. That's why I'm not going to spend a lot of time on Daniel Pierce. But between him and a couple other people, we have that initial sketch. It's what they saw walking around, and this is what the police give out.
Nah, that ain't. But
we also don't have a real. We don't have a real reason to know why that's the sketch we get, right? Like why is that the guy? Like there's multiple people walking on this trail.
Right.
We had flannel shirt guy. There were other men and women, other people around that the police actually talked to at different points. So I'm not sure why we were going to hearken on the physical attributes of this one, whoever.
So
this
Daniel
is.
Pierce, he's a witness and he sees this guy and he provides a sketch.
He just sees a guy.
Okay.
Like he just provides information on a guy he sees. I'm not sure why that equates to bridge guy, right? Like, how do we know that's bridge guy? He's describing. So the first pass, the first go, that's their first sketch they released to the public 5 months after the murders took place. And that's going to be super interesting to talk about as well, because a lot more happens there. There's a lot of things I'm gonna have to ask you again about how things should go from a law enforcement standpoint. So we have the sketch. September comes around. There was a homeless man that was it looked like he could be connected. They talked to him for a little bit. Eventually they release him. He's no longer a suspect. They don't find that he's connected at all, but just to let you know that they're still following through. They never let this case actually go cold. They have been consistently working it for the past 5 years. So now the next big thing is April of 2019.
Okay.
So it's been 2 years now since the murders.
Wow.
2 years, no leads, no nothing. The police hold a big news conference, the big press conference, biggest thing we've had since this happened. This is when we get a new sketch. So if you want to show, there's an updated sketch. Whenever you go back,
you gotta remember the police and stuff, they're not going to give you all the pertinent information.
Correct. But wait till you.
What the fuck? So that is Daniel Pearson.
So that is the new sketch.
How do they have that?
Look a
No,
lot
no,
like
no,
that.
no, no. Hang on. How do they have that sketch from that photo? That's not. That's two different people.
So listen to this.
Not even close.
Bear in mind. You ready? So this is 2 years later.
Okay.
Okay. So 2 years have passed since these girls' bodies were found.
All right.
We got the first sketch about 1.5 years ago, right? So we just get this sketch, and then we find out both sketches were drawn in 2017. In fact, the one that you just saw, the updated sketch,
Was the
first one drawn, not released. First one,
right?
drawn.
But who gave them that information?
Can you see the difference in the two sketches, though? And they were drawn at the same time.
But who gave the information for the sketch?
And why do they just say local witnesses?
That's okay.
And who? But
I'll tell you this.
let me
I
say
don't
this.
know, because I'm not there, and I'm not telling you like I'm some kind of an expert, but I'm just saying from a law enforcement
that's
point
what
of view right now, this guy right here on the bridge,
looks
which
like
is
first guy,
not
right?
which is not what that sketch is at all. Which that sketch is Daniel Pearson
That's what he looks like, yeah.
for sure. So I'm guessing that somebody said that they saw this guy and he was acting kooky or whatever, and they give a description of him, whatever. But this guy on the bridge that says down the hill, which is, I don't know, dude. Like I'm right now, I'm saying like, that's your dude.
Right.
Like 90% that's your dude. Like that's the dude you get in. Like there's
He's
no
the guy.
coincidence that these girls get moved down a bridge by a weapon, killed a half a mile from the thing, and then you've got some random dude on her Snapchat
Telling
that
them
says
what
down the hill.
to
That
do.
doesn't happen. That's like the stars don't align like that on all these cases.
Sharks don't bite that much.
No, and those two pictures aren't the same guy.
Agreed.
That's an old dude. That's a dad. That's a grandpa.
Well, so that's a thing too. So agreed. By his clothing, even my son saw this picture today, and he's heard a lot of this.
Yeah, I guess
He
maybe I could
even
be wrong
said-
there too.
He said because we find out later they are now trying to change things and say, hey, so the first picture you saw,
Right.
they're like, oh, he's, we're looking at 30s to 50s, this height, this
Yeah.
stature, right?
Easy.
Which looks like what we see on this picture and on the video of the actual man walking on the bridge, correct?
Yes.
So when you look at the updated sketch,
Okay.
they're saying, actually,
That kid's like
we're
fucking
looking at a guy
19.
like 18 to
Yeah,
25.
no.
And they would say
That's not a
things like-
25-year-old.
and they would say things like, oh, he could actually be maybe be a little older than that, but he probably has a babier face, and you may think that he's younger. So even my son, who's not even 13 yet, looks at this and he's like, no. He's like, look at the crease in the jeans. Look at the,
Yeah.
look at his stature. Look, and even and I agree. I can't, it's hard for me to fathom or to align the fact that this could be an 18 to 25-year-old based off of this photo and the video.
Man, I don't see a weapon on him. So he's saying, okay, down the hill.
You don't see it.
but
he's in a jacket.
I got you, but
like he's got pants. Like
doesn't look like an affirmative movement though. I'd be like, what do you
this
mean
is him as
downhill?
this is him
Him
as
as
he's
approaching.
just walking. Yeah,
Yeah.
he's just walking right there. So
Right.
he's not brandished anything yet.
Right, but he's telling him to get down the hill.
Yeah. Well,
I guess
so we're talking about April of 2019. It's been the 2 years. We have the I'm gonna stop you right
Guys,
there.
down the hill.
Not to pull a Kanye, but I'm gonna stop you right there, okay? Because that's what we need to talk about. So what happened is in 2019 we get that updated sketch, okay?
Okay.
And then we also get what you just played. They open the video, the audio enough to let the public hear one more word, and it was the word guys.
Yeah.
His voice inflicts a little different when he says the word guys. All they heard for
Guys.
2 years was just down the hill, down the hill. Now you hear guys, down the hill.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's what they released 2 years later.
How many times do you think the parents have listened to that?
Jesus. They said they can't now. So
Really, they can't listen to it?
like they just
I'd listen to it every fucking second
just
of the
can't.
day, and I would sit all around the coffee. I mean, it's hard to say what I would do. Of course, I'm just talking with emotions right now, but I feel like I'd be so prepped to end somebody's bloodline that I would just memorize that voice
Yeah.
so I could find it in any Bojangles or any Hardys at this 50-year-old
Yeah.
dirtbag. Like I'm telling you, this guy's like 50 years old. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. I get it.
Well,
but
I just
like,
think that it's, and I understand why the police officers are holding it close, right? They're holding their cards close.
Yeah.
Because it's ongoing.
Yeah.
But it's interesting that 2 years later we get one more word.
Mm-hmm.
So you find out that the video, that clip that the child took of this man, we've gotten a solid at this point with the guys, maybe what, a second and a half? Probably not even quite 2 seconds of an audio clip. It's a 43-second long video she has.
but they only give us 2 seconds.
No, and I'm not expecting for us to deserve or to, we're not privy to the
So I
43
feel like they've
seconds.
got to like have better sketch. So I guess
They say
if
the
they
reason
are
they're not-
coming out with that sketch, which could also be like deceptive, right? Like let's put out a sketch of this young kid, so that old boy thing. Well, I don't want to talk about that kind of stuff, but
Well, so they say that they're not releasing the rest of the audio because it's too tough. Okay. So I'm not sure if the girls start screaming at this point what he's saying to them, but they're not releasing. All we've gotten, and now it's been 5 years, is what you just heard, which was the guys down the hill. Okay. So, but it's 43 seconds long.
so here that's another great point from Wall here. It is funny that in a town of 6,000 people, you can't figure out somebody who knows what that guy looks like. I mean, that is strange. But two, what were the injuries for this death? How did they die?
They've still not told us.
Really?
They've not released it at all.
So is it sexual assault?
They have not released it at all.
Hmm.
So let me tell you this.
Interesting.
It is very interesting. That's why, I mean, there's so much to this case. The reason I think that
I mean, he says down the hill,
Here's the
so
deal.
it doesn't appear to me that he pushed them off the fucking bridge.
No, I think he has
And
like,
dragging somebody a half a mile is and two girls now. That's not
so
plausible.
I think he has a gun because I think he needed to get he
Yeah.
needed them to comply.
Gotta have a gun.
I don't necessarily think that they were killed with a gun. I feel like if they were
Oh.
shot, and I mean, tell me if I'm
Well, you
wrong.
would hear it.
Well,
somebody would have
someone
heard
hear or I think the police would say they were shot.
Sure.
That's common enough. I don't think they were shot. I will tell you this. They've gone on to say that whoever did this has signatures. And he took souvenirs.
Ooh.
We found out that souvenirs were, each one of them, they've not told us what. Each one of the girls was missing one piece of clothing.
Panties.
And they said that
Creepers always take the panties.
they didn't say any of this initially, even in the first 2 or 3 years. Some of this has just come out in the last year or two.
Okay.
That it was a bloodbath
Oh.
is another reason I don't think they were shot.
No.
Wow. Hey everybody, my friends are
She's getting some
following me.
followers.
My friends are
Our phone's blowing up over here.
Hey guys, hey friends. So it's another reason I don't think it was a gun.
Okay.
It was a bloodbath. They took a souvenir, and they also said that they were staged. They believe these bodies were moved quite often to be staged. They've not told us in what way, right?
So in this case, it's like if they would have gone on a search at night, you know, in this case, they probably
run
would have had
into-
some more information because he might have been down
He
there.
was probably still doing it. He was
Still
probably
doing
whatever he was
shit.
doing. So it's just they are more
is wrong with
tight-lipped
people?
about, which I understand too. Like, I'm not disparaging the officers here, right? They're
Right.
more tight-lipped about this case than most. I know it's still ongoing, and this is why. But we're not hearing the things that I feel like we generally would even hear, even if it were unsolved, right? We don't know how they died. We don't know how they were staged. We don't know what souvenirs were taken. They haven't even given us specific signatures other than to say that there were at least 2 or 3 signatures. We know that if you guys, where's my camera? Who am I looking at? If you guys follow crime, look at this stuff. Signatures are very common to specifically serial killers.
Yeah, they love them.
And so, and souvenirs, like a one-off is generally not going to take a souvenir. If this were passion, if this were rage, if this were personal, you're not taking a gift from this murder, right?
Right.
So the psychopathy there is interesting, and it makes you think: is this someone who's done it before, or is about to do it again? I mean, you're staging
2 girls. You're getting them to move down a hill.
You're
You're in this weird
staging-
area. Yeah, you've done this before.
I feel like you've done it before.
Yeah.
This isn't your first.
No.
It's not because you start, and then what we know psychologically without question.
It's like
is
your
that
first podcast. It sucked. It was
it was
terrible.
awful.
It was
y'all. I
terrible. And you don't
apologize.
just come out swinging. I mean, your second one is mediocre at best. So
Maybe
I mean,
it's
this is
just
a good
us.
murder because he didn't get caught. So this has got to be at least his third.
He's done. It's at least his 4th podcast. So yeah, I definitely, I would be hard pressed to believe that this is the first time this person's done this. There's a lot involved here.
So this is the second time somebody in the chat has brought up here, and this is what's fun about our true crime
No,
shows.
I have in one
is that we
contact,
got
and I think it's in the wrong eye, so I can't read the chat.
okay, that's fine.
Tell me.
But they said that there was a psychic that keeps bringing up a coffee shop. Now, what do you feel about psychics? Being that listen, you guys don't know Andrea's background, but she's got a little of experience of this kind of crazy stuff under her belt.
Psychics?
No, with psychics, but with true crime stuff,
Oh,
with
yeah.
solving some cases.
Okay.
What is your opinion on psychics? Do you think you could use them?
I think.
I mean, I'm
Like,
telling you
don't
this:
put all your
if
eggs in one
you're
basket, is
no
all.
right, but I'm not
saying-
ruling it out.
I'm not ruling it out. I will say I'm a skeptic. I'll say that.
Yeah, me too.
Very.
But like, if you
honestly,
haven't solved a case, who
but,
gives
like,
a
yeah,
fuck? Let's
come-
try it.
Yeah, let's have a chat. We'll see
Yeah.
what you got to say. I'm not ruling it out.
Yeah,
I'm not gonna take what that person says and put all of my and funnel all of my research and resources into maybe that opinion, but I'll weigh it. Right.
Yeah. No, I mean, yeah, it makes sense. So the psychic has said that they were at a coffee shop. Where does that play into the timeline? Were they at a coffee shop? Were they not? Do you know that or not?
I'm thinking about that because in terms of when I researched this, or not research, I read about this case a couple years ago, read over it a couple times, listened to some podcasts.
Sure.
Thought it'd be a great show for this week.
Yeah.
So when I dove into it for this week,
Didn't get
it was
that
more
far.
of that. No,
Like
it was
more of a
the
storytelling.
timeline
Gotcha.
of the actual murder. So I'm not super sure. I'm sure there's probably listeners right now that could maybe touch on that, or
Yeah.
if y'all want to use the big old Google machine, like do whatever.
Yeah,
you need
Google
to
webs
do.
it. All right, so
Right.
so it's a bloodbath. They're
Mhm.
staged. Fucking Homeboy on the Bridge did it, and Homeboy on the Bridge that did it, in my opinion, is not the whatever that sketch is.
Well, he's the first sketch, right? Like, he can't be that second.
I-
the second one. That we
I don't even
see.
think he's the first sketch.
It's definitely not the.
I mean, it could be the first sketch. I mean, I don't know where they get the hat from because he ain't wearing a hat, and he's got brown hair, and
I
it's
think that-
flat,
I don't think the hat.
and he's got like a little bit of a mullet going on.
Those are
Takes
back in
one to know
style.
one.
Those are back. In,
It's-
show them what you got here.
No, I can't do that right now, but it's not Lazaro Lopez status yet. Okay, so what's the newest breaking news from there?
All right. Sorry, I'm going through my grandma notes.
Go through your grandma notes. I mean, I think it's hard to believe that this.
All right.
And I feel like that voice, that's a
It's not an
50-year-old.
18-year-old.
That's a 50-year-old voice.
Absolutely not even a 30-year-old, right? Like
Yeah.
it's just not.
That's
Your
a 50.
vocal cords loosen. Like this is a scientific thing.
Right.
They loosen as you get
Yeah,
older.
me
Your
too.
voice gets a little deeper, gets a little more gravelly. It's That's not an 18 to 25-year-old. I can't align that. All right. So now we're going to come back. So Ron Logan, we saw him earlier. You can show him again if you want with the mustache. He's the one whose property the girls were technically found on, right?
Mhm.
So there's Ron. Ron died of COVID. He's gone now.
Son of a bitch.
Damn it. Ron.
Just getting to like Ron.
Damn it, Ron. But
Him and Gary.
for so the police do look into Ron, and like we talked earlier, they did search.
But that's not Ron in that picture either.
Oh, agreed. But
Okay.
but Ron does lead us to want to look into him a little bit, okay? Because they obviously had enough probable cause, right? You have to have probable cause to issue a search warrant, right?
Yeah, you have to have probable cause for a search warrant.
So, well, they had enough for Ron to be able to do that. So they learned that he originally lied to him when he spoke with the police, and so that and some other things caused them to have probable cause enough to search his residence.
We got like Ron's brother. Ron got a
So-
brother.
Well,
Ron's got a son.
so Ron told the police that, he had no idea how they got there. He told them that he actually had a family friend or a family member come pick him up, and they had taken him to the store between 2 and 2:30 on the afternoon of the 13th when the girls were at the bridge. And so we find out his alibi doesn't check out. He actually called a family friend on the 14th, the next morning, first thing in the morning, to say, hey, this is what you're going to tell the police.
Yeah.
You picked me up yesterday between 2 and 2:30, and I didn't get home until 5:30 or 6. Or no, wait.
Now, is
you
this
said
a
between 5 and
panic? Do you think
5:30.
this is a panic? Like, shit, dude, I've been to jail a couple of times. Like, fuck, I don't have an alibi. I was home.
Right. So, and that's what, is it because he murdered these girls, or is it because he's just kind of a piece of shit in other ways and he just doesn't want any discourse with the law?
I like that. I because I don't see that picture unless this picture is how much older is this picture than when the murder happened?
That was right around the same time.
Yes, that's not the same
The
guy.
murder's only, I hate to say only 5 years old, but 5. So
Oh,
people aren't going to
okay.
change a lot since 2017.
Well, homeboy's got snow white hair, and this guy's got peppered brown hair.
Oh, agreed. But he did definitely lie to the police. Definitely did call the alibi to say, you need to tell them this, this, and this. Like, you need to lie.
That's
to the
fine,
cops
but
for
I mean
me.
that happens.
He has a receipt, a timestamp.
It's not against the law to
It's not.
lie.
He has a timestamp from like 5:21 from a store half an hour away. So clearly he wasn't home between 5 and 5:30. Like,
Yeah,
he
but
wants
you're
this
not
person
fucking
to
murdering
say.
somebody and then going to the store. Not on a gruesome murder at 5:01.
I agree. And I'm not saying that I think Ron
Yeah.
did it, but I'm saying he was definitely a
Ron did
person of
do it.
interest for a moment, right?
Gotcha.
He was kind of, they dismissed him. He was arrested in April. This is one of those where I think maybe they probably allowed him to be arrested, like kind of gave him enough rope to hang himself, right?
Mhm.
He was arrested on old vehicular.
He like wakes up and like finds like Jack Daniels in a brand new car. Like it's like a brand
Good
new car
luck,
with Jack
Ron.
Daniels sitting there. Yeah. Like it looks like a scavenger hunt. It's like he has to get drunk and go on this just driving scavenger hunt.
Parallel park
Perfect.
here, Ron. Parallel
Yeah.
park here.
Get another bottle of Jack.
Okay, I'm not a good driver. Whoever watches Seinfeld.
Yeah.
But so good luck, Ron. May the odds be ever
Here's
in your
here's a
favor.
bottle of Jack and some keys. Good luck. Make good choices.
No, I agree. I'm not concerned with Ron, but I do think that they allowed him to get hung up and
Nah, Ron's a
get,
libertarian. He doesn't like police.
and get taken in for these
Yeah.
unrelated charges,
Nah.
just to have him in custody till they could sort it out.
Yeah.
So that's Ron. But
Okay.
now we're gonna move forward.
Let's move forward.
We have, again, the Daniel Pierce thing is its own thing. You can spend a ton of time looking at these.
It's not
people
Daniel
who
Pierce,
think
so
Daniel
fucking
Pierce.
don't
I
even waste your
agree. I
time.
don't think that
Telling you
it
right
is
now.
either.
I'm a psychic.
So we have, when I say this name, don't put this.
Watch it
picture
be
up
Daniel
yet.
Pierce. The end of this show.
Watch it. Well, I feel like we're already getting close. So don't put this picture
not.
up when I say his name. I know.
Okay.
But so Keegan Klein. Keegan Klein is
Terrible name, by the way.
It's
Keegan. I
awful. It's really awful.
feel like that's something that girls do to make their vaginas tighter.
It's
Getting your Keegans in.
so you can't say it like.
Make sure
I
you get your
think women
Keegans
do
in.
it. Women do it when you say the word, or even
Right.
yeah, like if you refer to it, women start just doing it. Women being me. So
Doing Keegan's over there.
so Keegan, it's also spelled Kegan. It's not even Kee or K.
Okay, so here's Stubby. Great screen name there, bud.
Stubby. The guy
Stubby,
in
I
the
like it.
picture is wearing a hat.
Stubby says he always feels like the guy's wearing a hat. That's interesting, dude. Let me go ahead and put that picture back up there. I don't know what does everybody else in the chat see.
Wait, on the bridge?
Yeah, I personally don't see that as being a hat.
No, it looks
that's
like his
that's
hair
a
to
mop.
me. Looks yeah.
That's
looks
a
like,
great little head of
looks like
hair
he
there.
needs a haircut.
That's a great
like
hair.
Eric's hair.
And it looks very mullety. I mean, it looks very. I'm going to take my hat off. I don't
Do
normally
it.
do this,
Do it. Yes.
but it looks like he's
There
got
it
like a
is.
very. Hang on, if I,
You show him the back. Show him back there.
I guess my hair's just too long for that. But yeah,
What's happening?
It's got this little thing back here.
Mm-hmm.
That's what
So-
I see.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I
Okay.
see.
That's
But that's
beautiful.
interesting
Thank
that
you
you
for
see a hat there. Now I do see where you could think it's like one of those like those Irish hats. What do you call them? I don't know what you would
newsboy
call them.
cap
A
or
newsboy
a-
cap, but I don't see a newsboy cap there.
Mm-mm.
But I mean, I guess listen, they drew a newsboy.
Facts. I just started doing Kegel. Someone said, "I got you, sis."
Oh yeah,
Same.
get them Keegans in today.
Can't say it.
So here's going back to Stubbs here. Stubbs, if they have fucking 40 seconds of this video that we don't have,
Yep.
I could be very wrong because obviously they saw something that we're not seeing because they drew a picture of a dude with a hat on. So you could be right, Stubbs. You could be right. I don't personally
This
see
was
that in this
also
picture.
Based off of, in theory,
Let me go back to the
it was
video.
supposed to be based off of a witness perspective. It wasn't all based off of the video.
Oh, I see. I see what you're talking about, Stubbs, because when you pause
When
the
it's
video
blurred.
and it's blurred, you can see a true definition. Yes, I
brim.
do now see the hat. Holy shit. It's like when you're looking at one of those
It
what are
did
those
look like a
books? Remember when you look at those books
And you
and then
blur
you
your
blur
eyes?
your eyes and you move it and
Yeah.
you can see the figure? When this is blurred, it absolutely looks like a
Okay.
hat. That's strange. Well played, Stubbs. Thank you. That's why we have a live chat. That's why we have a live chat. It could be a hat. I don't know. From the regular picture,
Allison.
I don't see a hat, but you're right. At 40 something seconds of this video, they drew a hat. So I see where they get the hat. I see where they
Yep.
get the hat.
So we're moving on. Okay, we've forgotten Ron. Let's forget
All right.
Daniel. We got Keegan Klein.
All right.
All right, good. Look. So thank you for that. So we have someone who's been talking to the girls, or particularly Libby, through Snapchat. Guys, don't give your children social media.
Yeah.
please, please, please.
Especially on Snapchat, because you can like figure out where they're at and
Go
shit.
away, and it's So but they weren't even just talking on Snap. So he also actually was messaging girls on something called Kick Message. I had to look this up. I was not privy to it. It's KIK.
Mhm.
And another app similar. It's kind of like, it's not like WhatsApp where
All right.
everything's encrypted,
Right.
but it is where you don't have to disclose like a name and a phone number. And
Yeah,
text a
actually
message.
know a teen that met another teen on Kick, this Kick app. They
Okay.
met up, they were into the same things, gets to making out with her. She pulls up a skirt, she's got a penis.
You have a lot of stories.
No, that's the same story. You met the
Oh,
guy.
Oh.
Yep. You met the guy.
That's so great.
It was that kid who's 18,
He
but
met on
very strange. But that's the first time I've ever heard of Kick. So I'm not letting my kids anywhere near Kick ever.
Bless him. Well, Boone's got a golden child coming to him soon. So, but we know that Libby and this Anthony Schatz have been chatting. So we got a profile here of Anthony Schatz. It's actually
Somebody
Anthony-
said in the chat that Kick has a lot of BDSM,
Oh,
and we're coming out with the Punish Me. We're coming up with the Punish Me shirt on Friday.
y'all, don't
So.
feed the bears anytime he gets a chance.
I love that Punish Me shirt, man. My
Anytime.
best work. It's my best work. Okay, so we're looking up Keegan now.
No.
All right,
Anthony.
Anthony.
Schatz.
Anthony Schatz. He's a good looking dude, man. He's got some jacked abs. He's got the Justin Bieber hair
No,
with
he
some of the
looks like a-
Justin Bieber tattoos, the Calvin Klein underwear. This is a great picture. Sarah Kelch is getting super hot right now.
He looks like a douche canoe.
Really?
So Anthony,
Not into
he's
guys like
been
that?
Chatting. Ones that don't like vagina.
Oh,
I mean, I don't know.
I didn't know
I'm
he was
just,
gay.
I'm just thinking. So Libby's been chatting with Anthony Shots. All right.
okay. But that dude's like fucking 20 or
Right,
19.
he's 14. He's definitely
Yeah,
not
that
14.
kid's like 19 or
Yeah.
20.
You can't quite get muscle. I will say you can't build muscle like that, right? Your metabolism's too fast. At 14, you're not getting a little six pack. And
No, this kid's 19.
he's older than that. So we're gonna talk about it. But let's go on and talk about who Anthony Shots really is, and go on and pull up Keegan.
Keegan and dad?
Nope, just Keegan.
Just
Black.
Keegan.
This is who
Oof.
is using Anthony
Woof.
as a catfishing app to talk to children.
Oh, so there was no Anthony. There was just this fucking
This
pervert.
dude.
Now listen, this is the guy, but he looks a little bit
So
big.
the picture you just saw of him.
That's too
Hang
big.
on, there's a lot more.
Okay.
He's gained a lot of weight, by the way. This picture was taken later.
Oh,
This was later. He has actually gained weight since the time of the murders. From the
okay.
time of the murders to this picture, he
Okay.
looks different.
But we don't have any
But-
other fucking picture of this guy?
We do, but
Okay.
listen. So Anthony that you just saw,
Mm.
Hollister model.
Yeah.
You remember Hollister? Does that still
Yes.
exist?
Abercrombie model.
Yeah. Does Hollister do? Anyway, remember the smell of it when you walked in there? It's always like a lot of cologne.
Yeah, a lot of axe.
Yeah. He actually, and you'll definitely, because I know how much you love this. So this guy, I actually feel sorry for him only because of what happened with his story, but not for his real life. Is actually a resident of Alaska who is a model and a police officer.
Oh man, I would hate to go to the locker room with that on your head.
I knew. you would
Wow.
like it. I know how much you like the thirsty
Oh.
cops on TikTok.
I hate thirsty cops on TikTok. And this guy, my God, man.
So yeah.
Good. He deserves all the shaming. This is why I like shaming. Listen, I don't like it to go to the fact of the point of bullying, but I like shaming. If we had more shaming in this world, people wouldn't wear pajamas on airplane, and fucking cops wouldn't take pictures of themselves looking like this, because we'd shame the shit out of them and you wouldn't do it anymore.
The chat.
So Keegan is using,
Keegan is using
boy,
this guy.
Keegan, brother,
That's a hard lane.
what happens when you meet her in real life, dude?
I don't think he plans for her to be awake when that happens.
Yeah.
won't
Okay. So
know.
you think Keegan's the killer?
Well,
All right,
so-
keep going. I don't want to spoil it.
Yep.
Go ahead.
So Keegan is someone who was brought in March. So let's go back to March of 2017. Okay, the girls. This all happened in February of 17. In March, Keegan is contacted. What is it?
Me Potato says he looks like the guy from Pawn Stars who did get busted for child sex porn.
Yeah. It's,
Okay,
my
not
dog
funny, but
Can't draw because so Keegan gets called in by police because he's been known to talk to Libby on social media. So they're finding this Anthony Shots profile. They're starting to figure it out. He gets pulled in. So he gets pulled in. He currently, and then we'll go back to it, but he is currently serving prison time for over 30 counts of mostly things with children. He was found with a lot of child porn. So we've got child exploitation. Yeah, don't show dad yet. We got child exploitation. We have what's it called when you synthetic identity deception. So that would be him catfishing with the cop from Alaska. He's got multiple counts of obstruction of justice, child solicitation, exploitation, and child pornography. So over 30 counts. His court date kept getting postponed because of all sorts of things, probably a supply chain shortage.
so he's fucked up sexually.
He is.
fucked up.
So we have transcripts that
now-
were leaked from another podcast.
Okay.
And it's 194 pages of transcripts. I read
Give me that beer.
Okay.
Another beer in front of you.
this one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't want that. It's warm. It's gross.
So
we have 100.
So wait, but Keegan is a sex offender.
Correct.
And he's in jail for sex offense.
Well, correct. Not physically that we know of yet, right? But exploitation and pornography, of course. Yes.
Okay. Which usually stems back from some kind of trauma. Like kids, like we talked with the Ashley Biden diary. Like you don't just become a sex addict. You were introduced to that through some kind of.
He was showering with daddy.
Well, according to the diary, sure.
Yeah.
And what was it? Forced arousal.
Forced arousal.
At a very early age. So he's had some kind of weird, fucked up sexual trauma. Typically speaking, generally speaking.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Probably.
I always keep that in mind.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Probably because we're going to talk about his dad.
I figure we were because I see that you said it says dad on one of these pictures. And I'm thinking in my brain, yeah, this guy, what I'm thinking in my brain is that this guy could look like Keegan Kline, but he looks old. He looks too old to be Keegan Kline.
Yeah, like Keegan looks too young.
And Keegan doesn't look to dress. Keegan's wearing the t-shirt. He's kind of a dirtbag, 30-year-old basement dweller, jerking off to porn. He's now putting
Keegan
on.
Would buy the Punish Me shirt.
He would do no. Only real warriors like the Punish Me shirt. The fake ones wear Punisher shirts. The real warriors wear the Punish Me shirt. This fat fuck, he wears fucking Pawn Stars paraphernalia. Sure.
So when I was reading
this fat fuck isn't wearing and I got him on here. Like, look, he's got his like some kind of local 858 UAW, whatever the fuck that is. Bullshit t-shirt. The guy has no respect for himself at all. He's not going to be wearing one of those LL Bean jackets. This asshole wears a fucking hoodie, probably. Sorry, go ahead.
You good?
Because that's an LL Bean jacket that guy's wearing. Okay. Hondos.
Think?
Yeah.
Eddie Bauer?
Could be. I'm going, it's an LL Bean blue. It's an LL Bean blue. Okay. Seen it in the catalog many years running.
I think his name's monogrammed on it. If we had just gotten that shot.
Could be.
So Keegan is taken in. We have 194 pages of transcripts from his time with the police officers.
Solve this case real quick by asking Keegan where he fucking bought his jacket. Hey man, where'd you get that jacket? If he says, I bought a jacket off of LL Bean, you're like, bam, that's our guy.
Done. So I read through pretty much all the transcripts. I think that it was interesting. Okay, because his house was searched and seized, right? Multiple electronic devices, laptops, iPads, iPhones, you name it. He does the play dumb for a long time. Many pages of this. He's playing dumb until they finally are like, dude, look, you know what we've got. Like, we literally looked at all of your stuff, and he kind of had to agree to it. But then there's stuff about the pornography that involved children, younger even than these girls, which we all agree as adults, 13 and 14, those are young children. But we're talking about children of between the ages of 3 and 9. And so when he was confronted with that, he was like visibly shaken and like very upset. And all he could say was, no. Like, absolutely not. Like, I don't want anything to do with children that young. Like, those are little kids. But then his frame of reference is like 3 to 9 is little kids, but like 13, 14 is okay.
Yeah.
Right. So when they would mention it, he would say things like, well, I mean, I guess technically under 18. So yeah, 13 and 14 is like not okay. Like, he would kind of rationalize it that way. Like, well, I mean, technically, yeah, they're under 18, but God, no, I never did anything with like young kids. No. But we have it. Okay. So they opened up the largest child porn investigation in that town that they had seen.
Right.
Granted, I understand it's a small town, right? But to say that the guy didn't just have a couple one-offs on there that he could explain away, he had a lot.
Right.
So, but again, he was like very, you could tell he was just like, it was such an affront for him when they said these young numbers, 3 to 9. He was like, absolutely not. 13, 14.
Oh, yeah.
Close enough.
Yeah.
Close
yeah,
enough.
we got some shit on here with some 13 and 14-year-olds. He's like, and then they're like, we got some 8 to 9. He's like, no, that is where I draw the line.
Won't do that.
No.
So, and keep in mind, honestly, a really super sad but serious note, when you look at the psychopathy of pedophiles, there are the group that prefer children that are prepubescent. These children do age out. So as soon as little girls start to show changes and developments in their bodies at a very, very young age, they've aged out at this point. So actually, as much as what he's saying, he's definitely a piece of shit, right?
Right.
But he may go for the 13 and 14s and not be interested in the younger ones.
But how old was Keegan?
I think late 20s at that point.
Okay.
Don't quote me. I mean, if you know better than me, but I'm pretty sure. So moving forward, they apprehend him. He's held on all these counts.
I'm sorry, he's just not fat enough
But listen,
to be our guy.
before, the reason they got him in jail, the reason they even got him
Was for child porn.
Nope.
Oh.
Because this other girl in the town, he lived in the town, or he lived just outside the town in Peru, Indiana, but it's a
Sure.
county next door. This other child, unrelated to this case, this is 5 days after the murders.
Mhm.
Okay. So we're looking, I think maybe it was 5 days after the girls went on the walk. I think it was the 17th of February. Or excuse me, the 18th of February. This child had been talking to this Anthony Schatz profile that we saw.
Right.
And
Calvin Klein.
he asked her if they could ever hang out. And that day she gets home from school in the afternoon and there's someone peeking in her window wearing a ski mask. 5 days after the murder. So are we going on a potential spree? Is this witness suppression? Some people think.
I just think the guy on the bridge is just not that fat.
So
I don't care how much weight you gain. Like, that dude's a fat fuck.
agreed. So here's what. Anthony maintains his innocence. He said that the minute he got to jail, his father quit speaking to him, didn't speak to him for months. Now his father's talking to him. He lived in a home with his father. He shared a home with his father.
Okay.
His dad has had some harassment charges, some domestic violence, some harassment, nothing that we know of that's sexual. He shares a username with his father.
Wait.
Yep. So
why do they share a username?
His dad.
Or they just use the same computer?
No, he said.
Oh, wouldn't that be some shit? You'd be like, look, dude. Like, if you knew in your heart that that wasn't your porn.
Yeah.
And you're
but
like,
it's your
motherfucker. Like, my dad's been in here on my shit, looking up some real kinky bullshit.
So he maintains that he has given his dad, like an old girlfriend, and then his dad, the username and password for the Anthony Schatz account.
Okay, so when I was in the military and when I was younger, all the military dudes, we were all scumbags back in the day. Yeah, you knew me back then. And there was one gentleman that had paid for a porn subscription. And the password was Cubs 2007. And we all had it. We all had this password to this porn site, Cubs 2007.
This is before hard drives were we all took hard drives.
But the funny thing about this porn site is that when you logged in, it would come up with like recently watched or recommended. But you had probably, I don't know, there was like 8 or 9 dudes on our squad, maybe more, 10. And so 10 guys all had this password.
But you didn't know who was looking at what?
But we didn't know who was looking at what. So you'd be like standing in formation or like be hanging out and you're like, I was looking at that midget shit last night. But yeah, like none of it was like super young, but there was some like weird, like there was like one in particular was anime. Like, whoever was watching the shit the most, because like the first 3 recommended videos were cartoons. And I've always been like I'll never forget this one. It was Beauty and the Beast. And it was just the title screen of it. But like, I thought like at that moment, like, I think it like ended it for me. I was like 23 years old, 24 at the time. But I remember like getting on and being like, I'm not looking at porn anymore. Like that's fucking gross. So I guess if you did give out your information to daddy and daddy's looking at, underage porn on your account, I mean, psychologically that would fuck you up because it's like, you don't want to rat on your dad.
Let's keep in mind.
I'd rat on my dad. Sorry, Dad. If you're looking at child porn, fuck you. You're out. But my dad wouldn't do that because I don't think my dad knows how to use a computer enough to even get porn up. So my dad can't even use his phone.
Can we go back to your cabin, Daddy Tansy?
Yeah.
It's been a long time.
Yeah.
So keep in mind Keegan failed his polygraph, so it's something you might could touch on as well. I don't know how.
I don't trust polygraphs at all.
Like how,
no, I've seen some really
false flags.
Yeah. So I would never say mentored a kid. I did not mentor a kid, but there was a kid that he was an EMS worker from a different state. He came here. He wanted to be a police officer. His dad was a police officer. And so I told him it was a great opportunity to become a police officer. And right before he joined the police office department, he came to me. And I mean, listen, this is the kid. His dad will come and drink 2 or 3 drinks at my bar. But when his son is there, his son will have one and not even finish the whole thing and still want me to like make sure he's good to drive. And I'm like, homie, you're fine.
okay.
You're good.
You're
Like,
good boy.
my drinks aren't that strong. And you didn't even finish one. So he's a very goody tissues. And his dad is I don't know, did 20 something years, 28 years, I think, with NYPD. Great kid. And he failed his polygraph. And I told him that he was when he was asking me questions about the polygraph,
right?
I said, dude, listen, if you're asking me those questions now, and the
Yeah,
answer is
yeah.
no, and you know the answer is no, you're not going to pass that polygraph. It's not the child porn that's going to fail you. It's the have you ever stolen a paperclip?
Yeah.
Or have you ever stolen anything? Because in his brain, he took a paperclip.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I don't, and the funny thing is that I asked him what part of the polygraph did he fail? He said, all of it. He said, the guy said the only thing that was consistent was that I failed every question. But he ends up now he's going through the academy. He's doing just fine because he wrote a very nice letter and said, look, I'm just a fucking basket case. I've never done anything wrong in my life.
So I've seen a lot of, I feel like I've read a lot about that, about, I don't think that I would hold a lot of weight on it. That's why I wanted to hear your opinion.
I knew another guy who had failed the sex questions part of his thing. And he told me personally that he had just had a 3-way with 2 girls. And he was a religious guy. And he felt super bad about having this 3-way. And he said, dude, when I took the fucking test, all I could think about.
So did he answer that he did not? Like, I wonder what was the question for
like,
that?
have you ever engaged in any sex that was illegal, unethical, immoral, forced, blah, blah, blah.
And he said no.
And he said no, and it didn't go through. And I believe this guy. Like, I believe that this dude's probably never molested. He's too fucking, like, he's too shy. He's too, he's not alpha enough to do that to a girl. Like, he's like generally scared of girls. And I think he has more hobbies that involve no girls. And
how did he find himself in that spot?
he passed. He ended up passing the second time.
No, I mean with the 2 girls.
So I think when he told me the conversation, I said, dude, you need to disclose that. Go back in there and disclose that and redo the fucking test. See what they'll do. And I think, he's a cop now, so I guess he passed. But I can see where people's brains kind of fuck with them. And the polygraph, listen, the number one question for people that trying to be police that ask me stuff is how to pass the polygraph. And I just tell them to be brutally honest.
Mm-hmm.
Be brutally honest, and you'll pass.
I mean, I think people can learn to malinger and do these things, right? To get past these, to elude and evade the answers and get past it. But General Keegan Klein, isn't doing that. So he did fail. Take it for what it's worth. Probably just a grain of salt. Like, we don't know, but he did not pass it. So we'll go with that. He also lied about a lot of things until the cops finally had to. He's not the.
I like it. Hang on, really quick. It's really funny. A lot of guys and things are like, "Yeah, overseas we shared hard drives." Dude, I was overseas in 2005. I didn't even know what a hard drive was. Like, it was all Napster.
I feel like and I feel like the hard drives overseas. You guys help me out here. Was that like
we did? We shared, but we shared
06,
CDs.
That no, like that the hard drives.
Oh, for you.
Being brought.
2007
not for
was
me, but I would say that right. I feel like that's when maybe hard drives overseas were becoming a little bit more
probably like
prominent.
07.
Like an 07-ish.
Yeah, because YouTube came out in 06. I was there in 05, but we weren't sharing hard drives. I didn't even know what a hard drive was. We would share CDs for sure, or Napster links. Like, we would email each other Napster links. But all of our computers died of AIDS. Every single one of them. Every one of our awesome Alienware. We spent way too much government money. Oh, they all died from porn. Infection.
Yeah.
Porn infections.
From hard drives. Yeah. I was never over there. I knew someone who was once, but yeah, I think that's probably when the hard drives started hitting the scene, right, guys?
Probably. I don't know.
What's that say? No, you just keep it on.
I don't know. I'm slow with all that shit. So, I wouldn't be surprised. It probably was around in 05.
Bang bus on zip drives.
LimeWire was the best. Yeah, dude.
Yeah,
LimeWire was where is that, man? That was it, dude. Comes 2007. No, I'm just kidding. All right, so
drinking Rippets at the time. That's
so my whole point being is that, like, I find this interesting that Daddy has the same
password. Yeah, they share that account. So go on and pull up.
What year was this?
17 is when.
Okay, yeah. So you should have your own computer.
So
for sure.
Well, also, you saw the pasty face. Dude.
Are we doing Keegan and Dad yet?
Keegan and Dad.
I'm ready for that.
So that's dad.
Oh, I don't know.
So why don't you? Do you want to put up?
man.
There's dad and bridge guy. If you
Yeah,
wanna try
let's
that.
do this back and forth.
No, there's actually one called Dad and Bridge Guy. I titled it.
Tony Klein and
Yep, sorry,
Bridge
Tony
Guy.
Klein is dad.
Oh, that's the perfect build, dude. Come on.
So do what you will.
Come on, baby. That's him. That's your guy. It's not his fat fuck son. That's him. Dirtbag. I'm just kidding. I shouldn't have called him a dirtbag. I don't have any evidence of any of that.
Keep
What's
this
he
in
standing next to?
mind.
A Corvette?
Keep this in mind.
Now, come on. Look, other than his hair being too short, because this guy's got some hair coming out the back.
Well, what's a hat? We don't know.
No, but
He's
there's
done
if
it.
it's a
That's
hat,
fresh cut.
if it's a hat, there's
That's a
hair
fresh
coming out
cut.
the back of the hat. If it's not a hat, he's got a mullet thing like I do. He's got a flap, a Mississippi mud
He's
flap.
got a straight up high and tight on that other one.
Yeah, so
real
in the
sergeant
real
right there.
picture, he's got a high and tight. This bridge guy's got hair. This guy ever have hair?
He's had hair. Look, that's a fresh cut. It's shaved. On the
How
sides.
when was this picture taken versus this
I
picture?
Don't ask me questions.
Because I've had a
about
high and
that.
tight, and then 2 years later,
Why? Why'd you do
I don't know, man. I don't
Why'd you
know.
ever do that?
Who's this guy right here? No, that's not him.
That's looks like Jerry Garcia. What
That
are you
looks like
looking at?
that's like your criminal right there.
Anyway, so that's
I'm much more leaning to the build of
Mhm.
Daddy.
agreed. So we've just recently realized that
Man,
the
I
police
don't
have just
know.
recently said that
And blue's
they-
his color. He's just wearing blue in both pictures.
LL Bean. So police have said that. See, you can actually tell in this picture that you're posting now that Keegan see the difference in weight there.
Yeah,
I still
I'm
don't think that's
telling you.
him. But
I'm telling you, this
that-
guy's too fucking fat.
I know, but he's smaller here, right? Than the picture that we aired earlier of just Keegan.
Right.
alone.
He's definitely gained
weight
some
since
weight.
then,
He's definitely
yeah.
gained some weight. Definitely gained
So
some
listen,
weight. but-
so we have learned one of the newer.
And he has that smile, that, like, I kill people smile. The son does.
Yeah.
The dad has
No, that's high and tight makes me untrust. Like I don't trust him. Sorry, guys.
yeah.
Like if you're listening and you have a high and tight like that, I can't. I'm gonna be suspicious.
Yeah, don't have an high and tight
Let's not
longer
do
than
that,
you have
guys.
to. I don't know, man. Maybe it's neither of them.
Okay, so
I see where the confusion is, though.
we've learned though that so Keegan's son is still in jail, right? He finally had his court date. He got
Right.
charged, all the stuff, and he needs to be there forever. You know, the recidivism rate with pedophiles is terrible. What are you looking at?
Nothing.
Ben Affleck.
Yeah.
The bridge guy looks like Ben Affleck.
Yeah.
What? Yeah, no.
He does look
He's
like Ben
about to light
Affleck,
up a
like-
heater.
Yeah. About to burn
Just
one
like,
down.
Oh, forget my whole life.
He looks like Alec Baldwin in the face. I just want to go shoot somebody on
Oh,
a set.
Shoot somebody on a set.
All right. So
So-
what else we have?
That's pretty much it. We're kind of wrapping it up here. But what I was going to say is police have recently stated that they do have DNA, which that's something that they did not release a long time
Okay. So
ago.
if you have
So
DNA
there's
and you
DNA on
have
this girl.
homeboy in prison, how are we not getting?
Because it can't be him, right? Right? Because if it was
If it was him, they would have the
we
DNA.
would know that.
Yeah.
But
It's not him.
Daddy's not in prison yet. They don't have enough for Daddy yet.
But would they have enough to say this strain matches? Like,
Can you
you send that
can
shit
you
off-
Search Daddy for DNA. Like, is that a thing, right?
well, I
Can you
mean,
just-
listen, if you can, and I'm not a forensic scientist by any means, but if I can swab my fucking mouth
Hmm.
and send it off
That's not my
to,
question. What can you do that doesn't?
you can see somebody's entire genealogy.
No. Again, not my question. What would they do to get Dad's DNA without
Ask him.
arresting him? Right? Like,
Ask
okay,
him.
they can ask him, and he says no.
Well, follow him to Golden Corral. No, we can't. No, there was actually a case where they followed
That
somebody.
actually-
Listen, that's a
Yeah,
real
I know
case.
that case.
They
We-
followed the
that
guy
was
to
fun.
Golden Corral and
The
they got his
or the-
fork.
yeah, it was the fork.
700 different
Stop.
strands of DNA on that
Don't
fork.
go to
So they
Golden
couldn't
Corral.
use the fork.
We are not sponsored by Golden Corral, and don't plan to be. Don't eat there. I remember that story. No, but like, so honestly, so if they ask Dad, he says no.
Yeah. I mean, if Dad says no, then.
If you guys,
But you know, there's so many ways. I mean, does he flick his cigarette out? Grab his cigarette off
I
the
know
street?
how they
trash
can
pool.
obtain it without his, and I would like to hope and think that that's what they've
Look,
done.
if they
But
thought,
I'm saying
if
from a
they
legal
thought it was
standpoint,
from a
like,
legal standpoint, if they thought Dad's DNA was close, you would do a trash pull every trash day and you would pull out all the trash. If there's
So
a
you would
straw
do
in
this
there,
without his knowledge. Okay.
yeah, because the trash pull is legal. Once you take the trash off of the curtilage and put it out, the
Off
courts
the
have
what?
deemed the curtilage is of your
Is that
home.
curb?
The curtilage of a house is what you would reasonably deem as that is your property. So the courts have ruled that if you take your trash can off of your driveway and at the end of the driveway and you place it in such a way that it's obvious that the reasonable person would believe that
It's
that is
trash.
to be picked up by a trash company, you have said, I am
Done with it.
done with this.
Okay.
So trash pulls is one of the best things I used to do. I mean, the unit I worked with for a long time, we did trash pulls every Thursday. We got a trash truck. We put on trash uniforms
Yeah.
or civilian clothes that look like trash uniforms and city trucks. And we drove around and we would snag up suspected, 4 or 5 people that we suspected of doing nefarious things. We'd collect their trash, put it out on a tarp, take pictures, and start going through it. If you really thought that dad was the guy that was holding the DA, you would pull the trash, look for a straw. I mean, at some point, the dude's throwing away something with his DA, but whether it's a
So then would it
plastic
be
fork, a
reasonable
plastic
to think
spoon,
that Dad's
toilet paper,
excluded?
tissue,
I mean,
they
5
would have
years
found,
later?
you would have found, if they thought that it was his DNA, you can get somebody's DNA very quickly.
So then should we be?
I mean,
sure,
if he
thought
threw away a
process
mask from COVID, you would just grab that mask and you would have all the DNA you need.
That's never worked anyway. So did you? Okay. So then
Talking to your mic though.
would we assume that based on that dad is not suspect number one? Like, would they have not in 5 years?
I think if they have DNA,
They do, and they've just recently let the public know that.
then I would probably guess that it's not going to be child porn, catfisher, or the dad, because
would've
you would have been
found it.
able to figure that out by now.
Agreed.
By now, that's one trash pull, probably, especially during COVID. That motherfucker had a mask on.
Do you know
I
how
mean,
much
listen,
DNA
we
he probably left in that yellow Corvette or whatever. Which is
right, yeah, he
He's
probably
got
left
DNA
all sorts
all
of
over
DNA in that rental car. Yeah, you don't rent a Corvette and go to the old Grand Canyon if you
I
ain't.
think they were like at Hoover Dam.
If you're not leaving your DNA all over that thing. Listen, if I don't even need a girl with me to leave my DNA in a Corvette. But there was a big case in Raleigh, North Carolina, and they literally followed this guy everywhere and waited for him to toss a cigarette, but he didn't smoke. They waited for him to the way they ended up finding him was
if he had some LeBron James hair plugs, they probably would have fallen out, right?
how they ended up finding this guy was he worked at a place that required him to wear latex gloves.
Okay.
And so they went up to the thing and they said, after they had so much evidence, I mean, they had a lot of evidence. This guy was a real piece of shit. He was a serial strangler, rapist, really bad dude. And the way that they caught this guy and listen, they would jump into trash cans, dumpsters, trying to get this guy's trash. The guy was perfect, but he knew the cops were watching him. So they went to his place of business undercover. And I don't want to give away a lot of information on this because I don't want to foul up how these investigations are done, but in such a way that they could be employees of that said business or something like that, talk to the employees and found a trash can where they released the gloves and they put out different color gloves and waited for him to put on those specific colored gloves. And then they retrieved those colored gloves for court, removed were able to grab the DNA, and they were able to charge him. So if they had if they thought
5 years, it's been 5 years.
yeah, if they thought daddy was the DNA there, they'd have solved that case by now. Now, who's to say that homeboy, because, birds of a feather flock together. So there's nothing saying that homeboy doesn't know.
Y'all, keep in mind, we've been focused on one person because we see the bridge guy on the bridge. We
No,
see the
I
video.
wouldn't look anywhere else.
I'm not saying it's not him. We
I
can't
don't think it's
discount there's
Keegan,
not more
though.
than one though. No. Like
There's two people.
Continue the verbiage from the police department continues to say the person or persons of interest.
Yeah, but that's fine.
I know
because
that you have to say it.
you have to
but
say
I'm
it.
saying
That's
that
normal.
It's not.
That's normal. Yeah, you're gonna say person or persons because you don't want the suspect to know
I still think it's
anything.
one because of again like we talked about, like the psychopathy of that was you of the staging, right? The souvenir. that's not something that's generally not a 2-person plan. That's a 1-person.
Yeah, and no, that's one person.
That's
probably.
a 1-person.
I don't know. It's probably hard to kill one person while another person's watching. I guess it would probably
Hard, like physically or mentally.
physically.
No, they're children. He could have bound one up easily.
Oh well, yeah, bound them up. I guess you'd have to tie them up and then
I
do
mean,
it
just tie-
because you can't just like
exactly.
whack one the other one and run.
Terrified, and she's a child. Like,
Oh man. I don't think it's gonna be. But you know what though, Dad? I mean, listen, I could be wrong. I'm just speculating. I'm a C student at best. I was not a detective. I worked a lot of crazy cases, but not at the detective level. But I did work with detectives. When a gang member dies on my beat, a detective, we work together to solve the crime. Tansy, hey, see if you can arrest these guys. See if you can, see if you can focus on some Crip guys tonight. See if you can get any hard felonies on somebody. See if anybody wants to talk and work some charges off. So I was in the know as that way goes. But we have somebody on this network that's actually a homicide detective that we could always refer to.
Let's call BC.
Hey, old BC, we just give him a call. Get old BC over here.
You listen, Brian?
I don't know. The dad does match the composition. I don't think Fat Fuck Son does though. I think he's a 50-year-old dude.
I don't go with this is like young Earth, new Earth, old Earth kind of thing. I don't go with the second, which we know.
I'm
now
going
was
for that
the
LL
original.
Bean jacket.
Yeah, I don't go with the second sketch, which again was actually the original. We just weren't privy to it then. They showed.
No,
us
I don't
the
think.
second
I don't
one
know.
first.
But what do I know? I mean, I don't
can't-
know. The problem with true crime and true crime podcasts is that we're going off of information that's bad information because the
The only
police aren't
information
putting
that
out the
we've
good
given.
shit.
Yeah, that we've been given.
So we're only going off of and you change the facts, you change the entire outcome. That's why I don't like historians and things like that. Because if you miss one small fact, you've fucking fucked up all of history. You know what I mean? If you say civilization started here because of X, but it didn't start there, you have now created a timeline that just, builds on itself and it's completely wrong.
Keanu Reeves, The River. What was it? Where they check the mailbox for Sandra Bullock, Keanu Reeves.
I'm a big Keanu Reeves fan. Big Keanu Reeves fan. Actually, my favorite.
The Lake House or something.
Yeah, he's one of my favorite actors.
It changes everything, like the
Yep.
time. Or Back to
Everything
the Future,
changes.
right? Yeah.
But I think one thing that we haven't missed is that the guy on bridge is definitely the fucking main suspect here. And I think over time that you could argue and you could beat it to death. I think at first look, at first appearance, which is what I like to go with. I don't like to change my answers. That's how I made it as a good C student. My first impression was that was not a hat. My first impression is that he has longer hair, kind of flowing mullet down the back. He's got that raspy voice. He's in his 50s. I'm working off of that.
I get it.
And now you work off of whatever you see.
Agreed. So I think at the end of the day, keep in mind.
Man, if those cops would have went down there in the middle of the night, but woulda, coulda, shoulda. It's not that they're bad cops, but
that's always the case.
You can't
do with what you've got, right?
You can only go with what you got.
The one thing I will say is, anyone who's kind of followed this is under the same impression in terms of when they had that huge, the April 19th or April 2019 press conference. So it was 2 years after this happened. And that's when they released what they consider the extended clip of the video where it says guys down the hill. It's one word different. It's interesting that they held that one close to the chest, but like it was one word different.
Well, I don't think they want this guy to know. I don't think at the beginning they wanted this guy to know that he's the main suspect.
They are very confident that they've spoken with him. They were very confident that he was in the room during the news conference.
Yeah, sure. And what was it? The California killer, BK killer.
Oh yeah,
he was in all the press conferences.
That's my point. So if he's someone who was staged,
do you know who you need? Who we need for this? Remember the Disruptors? They did a thing on situational awareness expert with Yosef, and Yosef could pick out like indifferences out of the crowd. That would be cool to have somebody like Yosef go and look at the video from the press conferences and just go on indicators alone.
I'm down. Well,
that would be cool.
Are already collaborating on a show together, so I would be happy to bring this to light as well with Yosef. But in saying that, if we're going to wrap it, we've kind of gone down some rabbit holes here. But if we're going to wrap it up, someone who's staged took souvenirs, did the things, right?
Yep.
This is very
There's
likely
evidence.
someone, what's very likely someone who was a part of the search party. It's someone who wants to watch people look. They want to
Right.
be
But
a
I mean,
part
we
of it
talked about
all.
the McDaniels case.
Yeah.
He went and fucking talked to the media and was like, oh, I don't know. This was crazy. And then they were like, yeah, they found her body. And he was like, shit.
Right.
But I mean, he was a part of the search.
But
You think about Casey Anthony. Either the dad or the daughter fucking killed her,
they all did.
and they both were part of the search.
Yeah, but that's a family. But like, I don't think it was family here. I do think it was
No.
a stranger, but I think it was someone who is not. This is not their first rodeo, and I think that they probably were very present in search, very present in the press conference. And saying that, what we do know is that when they had that press conference in 2019, they specifically stated, "We are just in the beginning." They said that because it's pretty evident that either someone intentionally misled them for the first 2 years down the wrong path, or they took a beat on something and just went down the wrong path. Either way, for 2 years, pretty much just disregard the first 2 years of this case. In 2019, they said, we're starting from the beginning. Like we're just starting. And I think that's when they reconvened and they've realized that they had maybe followed a wrong path. Either they were, led there or it was of their own volition, but so you almost can look at this as a 3-year-old case rather than a 5-year-old case. But
yeah, we like doing this true crime, guys. Let us know what you think. Hit us up on social media,
right? Like different unsolved.
Yeah, it's unsolved. I like it. Like, we're gonna do this true crime thing with Andrea now. Every Tuesday night, she's gonna present more true crime, and Mike and I are gonna just react to it. We're not trying to solve the crimes here. We're having fun. We're having a great time. Don't accuse me of trying to be a detective or anything like that. We're just having a good time. And that's what true crime is. Now, I do think that true crime is a little bit dangerous because I think a lot of these white girls, basic white bitches who drink hard seltzers with blonde hair frequent Starbucks a lot and have lots of bracelets on and ankle bracelets. Holy shit. I think all of those basic white girls like Sarah Kelch, it makes you think that you're smarter than cops, but we always have to remember that the cops know more than we do. And that the cops do have more information and they do have a reason. You have to keep that faith.
Entitled to that information.
We are not entitled for that because that's how, and really the O.J. Simpson trial is what changed a lot of this.
Yeah.
Because of now we have to follow every little protocol because if you don't, the knife is thrown out, even though the knife was found by one person, yada, yada, yada.
Right.
So we're just having fun with these on Tuesday nights. We hope it's entertaining. We hope it's this whole show, Night Shift, the whole premise of Night Shift was to give you something to do
and engage
when you're about to fall asleep in your first responder vehicle.
Yep, and engage.
So
listen,
we want you
to call in, right? We want you to chat.
Call in, chat, get in the live thing.
Yeah.
And listen, if you have your opinions on the case, comment on the YouTubes. Let's all have fun, healthy banter. Let's not be like the other true crime YouTubes where everybody like shits on each other. It's fun to have a theory. It's fun to have a belief. Her and I were debating about this missing boy in Idaho. I think he fell into a grain truck. We don't know if there was even grain in the truck. And she's accused me of speaking out of my ass. But I want to know, is there grain in the grain truck? And she wants to know if there's a silo. And if there is, I guess he's in it. But that's what true crime is, and it's fun. And as long as we know that we're not detectives, we're not solving these cases, we're simply bringing them to light, telling a story, keeping the memories of the victims alive, keeping people curious about it, just like we should always be keeping people curious about the Epstein shit and that list. Always bring that up.
20 years. She only got 20.
She got 20 years today. She did get 20 years today.
That's all.
I'd be curious to know what Keegan. Do we know what Keegan got for all of his sex?
I don't.
Shit?
I'll look at that because it kept getting postponed and he actually didn't get. I think he finally had the court date. Why are you telling me my necklace was backwards? He didn't get the court date until it was supposed to be August, and I think it even got pushed back until just more recently.
So he's just not doing it.
Yeah, he's just recently been actually charged.
And now you can follow Andrea at
Andrea Up Late.
Andrea Up Late. Now look, guys, this is the one time you can slide into a girl's DMs if you have a case that you wanted to talk about, or if you'd like to debate with her about the case. She has formed her own social media away from her family's, just like mine, Eric Taines, the official. And you could go over there and you can slide into her DMs. You can talk to her. You can get her to do other cases. She's a part of the team as of right now. I don't know if she keeps sucking. We're going to remove her from the team. She seems to be doing all right. Some people like her. If you hate her, listen, we'll fire her because we're all about the money here.
It's true.
I'm kidding,
Getting
joking.
paid so much.
She's got enough gas money to get back and forth for this
I
2-hour
can't get back
drive
to Wilmington.
to come do this show every Tuesday. But yeah, she is driving 2 hours to do this show. And one day we'll disclose your real experience to all of this and how we kind of found you. But right now we'll just kind of keep it a secret because it is kind of fun with how many people are asking about your past. So we'll just keep it a secret. July 4th, huge release of the swag. This is swag that's personally designed by Skate Daddy Transy. I'll probably go ahead and just take credit for all of this.
I've seen it.
These were all my ideas. The Skate Daddy Transy sticker, the Pride Mike sticker,
Love that one.
the
Love
Punish
that.
Me shit, the shirt and everything.
Just saw the Punish Me tonight.
If you want a glimpse into what Eric Tansy's humor is, this 4th of July limited release is right up your alley. Look,
It
it's
needs
all
to
in.
be limited, y'all. Just get it and be done. Let's call it done.
Listen, if it goes viral, like our Let's Go Brandon shirts did, I'll just keep it up
That's fair.
forever. Keep it up forever. I don't care. I think it's a great shirt.
I think Punish Me and Pride Mike will.
I think they're
both
going
of
to do
those
very
will
good.
continue. Yeah.
I think they're going to do very good. Guys, if you want her to talk about something in the future, please go to Andrea Uplate and let her know your cases because I'm not doing it anymore. I'm not responding. If it says, Eric, take a look at this case, unless it has to do with a Friday breakdown or it's law enforcement related, I'm not looking at it anymore. I'm not doing any. Listen, my wife's suffering. My kids are suffering from me looking at all this murderous bullshit all week long for 2 and 3 shows a week. I can't do it anymore. It's really messing with my brain. I'm going to become a serial killer. It's not true. That would never happen. I'll never do that. Unless I get like stage 4 cancer and I go like
Check the
full
boxes.
vigilante.
Check the boxes, man.
That'd be
Do what you
whack.
gotta do.
That'd be wild. I don't know. We'll see what happens. Until next time, guys, this has been another Night Shift Failure to Stop. We've got Thursday, last call of the day. And if you missed the Disruptors, that whole survival thing that the survival
Absolutely.
instructor,
Check them out.
phenomenal episode. Phenomenal episode. It's been a great time to chat. Amber, HHH, as always, we love you. Sarah, we love you. Stubby, thank you so much. JC Allen, Garth touched my camera through the fence. I'm a huge Garth Brooks fan. I love Garth Brooks, even though he's kind of a dirtbag. Am I going to dress like Batman? Listen, you guys are going to really love my kinky Punisher. I'm too excited. I almost want to drop it early. Maybe I'll drop it in the Discord for our paying members. I'll go in the Discord and I'll drop a little hintsies of what's going to come on Friday. I think you guys are going to be excited. All right, guys, listen, stay frosty, stay awake out there, stay alive, do the right thing, be a good cop, be the cop that your kids would be proud of. We'll see you guys on Thursday, last call of the day, and then Friday for our breakdowns. Until next time.
Good night, y'all.
Now I got to figure out how to end this broadcast.